NGXS Angular State Management using NGXS. Normally NGXS is a state management pattern. It's a library for Angular. So in the NGXS, today's example, we will see about a complete CRUD operation with the help of a REST API. Complete CRUD operation with the help of REST API. So starts from a base. So initially we will create a simple Angular application. So the step number 1 to install Angular CLI. So step number 1 to install Angular CLI. So we will type npm install -g for global at angular/CLI. So you install Angular. So step number 1 for install Angular CLI. So with the help of a basic command called as npm install -g at angular/CLI. After installation was completed, the step number 2 for create a new Angular project. To create a new Angular project. So for creating new Angular project, you will type ng new, the name of the Angular project, which will be called as user management system. So you will name it as UMS. So user management system. So ng new UMS, user management system. So would you like to add a Angular routing? So normally there is no need for routing file. So the routing module is currently not required. You are directly call the file. So in that project itself, routing module is not needed. Otherwise you can add routing module, that's not a problem. Now routing module not needed. So I will press no and then press enter. So whether you choose CSS or SCSS or SASS or less, I will choose CSS format for style sheet creation. So which will create a simple project which will be named as UMS. Under that, which will create all those required files. So after creating a project, now it's our duty to install NGX Store. So normally NGXS, which create a global store for storing all those state activity. So for that you will create NGX Store. So npm, first you will entering into your folder. So the folder which will be called as UMS. Yes, cd UMS. Inside that I will install npm install at ngxs/store save activity. ngxs store save activity. After installation completed, there are two additional packages was needed. One is npm install. The two additional packages, one which will be called as locker plugin, second one which will be called as dev tool plugin. So you can install npm install at ngxs /locker plugin. So ngxs/locker plugin. So similar way save for installing locker plugin. After installation was completed, you will install npm install then you can install DevTools plugin. So at NGXS /DevTools hyphen plugin hyphen save hyphen dev, save in development mode. Now the entire task was completed. So 1 for installing Angular CLI, step 2 for create a new project, then entering into the directory and then install NGXS Store, NGXS Locker plugin, NGXS DevTools plugin. So all those installation was completed. Now you are entering into your code. So type code space dot. Yes, a new Angular project was created, which is displayed in the our IDE Visual Code. Now you can expand the folder src. Inside that there is a folder called as app. Inside that app module.ts. So the required file which will be displayed. So inside this module you can add the required modules. The first module, which is called as NGXS module dot for root of NGXS module dot for root of. So inside that our root parameter was added, so I will place a square bracket for now. So the second module, which is for NGXS Locker plugin module, similar way dot for root of. Then the third module, which is for NGXS Redux REDUX DevTools plugin module, NGXS DevTools Redux DevTools plugin module dot for root of. I think this module was not imported, so you can import that module. Import NGXS Redux DevTools plugin module from at NGXS /DevTools plugin. So I think there is a change, G small letter. So NGXS Redux DevTool plugin module. So now the required modules were added. In addition to that, so the basic model, which is called as forms module was added. Then HTTP client, which getting a data from HTTP response. So HTTP client module, HTTP client module. That module was also not imported, so you can import that module from common HTTP. So you can import the same. So import HTTP client module from import HTTP client module from at Angular /common /HTTP. So now this module was imported. Now the required module, NGXS module, NGXS Locker plugin module, NGXS Redux DevTools plugin module, Forms module, and HTTP client module. So entire required modules was installed in your project. Now the first stage was completed. So importing modules. Then you install Bootstrap. So npm install Bootstrap. Then you can copy the Bootstrap path from node modules. So go to node modules and then scroll down and verify Bootstrap folder. Go to the folder named as Bootstrap. Inside that dist, inside that CSS, inside that the file which will be called as bootstrap-min.css. Bootstrap-min.css. Copy, right click and copy relative path, and then go to styles.css. Minimize node modules and then go to styles.css and then type at import, then single quotes, you can paste the path. I think this folder is placed inside src, so // then you can save the file. Now the Bootstrap style was also added. Now the entire process was completed. Now you will create a new component. So ng generate component, the name of the component which is called as user. So I will create a new component which is named as user. So NGXS user. Now a new component was created inside our app module. Yes, then press enter. So a new model was created. Verify the same. Yes, a new folder was created. Inside that user component.css, user component.html, and TypeScript file too. Now you will create a service file, ng generate s for service, ng generate s for service, the name of the service file which is called as something called as user utility. So user utility, I will create a file which will be named as user utility. So I will press enter. So the user utility .service.ts file was also created. User utility .service file is also created inside the folder of app. Now you will go to our app module.ts file. Inside the providers, I will add, the provider is a service file, so I will add the service file. The service file named as user utility service. Yes, the file was added. Now save the file. Now the step number 1, that is for creating action. So because the NGXS is concerned, it's our duty to create action as well as state file. action and state file. So first step for creating action file. So I will create a new folder inside app, new folder. So name of the folder as actions. So the folder named as actions. So inside that I will create a new file. So the name of the file, which is called as app.action.ts. So inside the app.action file, I will create the complete CRUD activity. So the basic actions. So the first one for get user. So this is for complete CRUD activity. So get user. So export class, the name of the class for get users. So all those users. So inside that I will type static read only of type. So I will follow the standard format. So of type, this is for adding user. So I will type users. For getting details, so for fetch user data. So this is for first class. Similar way I will create the second one for adding user. So export class add user. Inside that static read only type equal to single quotes user, then basic activity for add user. Here I will create a constructor of a parameter public payload colon a type as any. Save the file. Now the third one for update user. So export class update user. Inside that I will type static read only type user of update activity. Inside that I will create a constructor of public payload colon any comma based on the ID. So public ID colon number comma public I colon number. I think this is spelling mistake for public. The last one for delete user. Export class delete user open curly brace. Inside that you will type static read only type equal to single quotes square bracket user. This is for delete activity. Then you will create a constructor of public id, based on id you can delete the same id number, open curly brace and close curly brace. Now the action file is ready. Whenever action file called, it can invoke a state. So now the action file is ready. Now it's your duty to create a service file. Now it's your duty to create a service file. So go to user utility dot service. User utility dot service. So at injectable, provider in is root, export class user utility, a constructor. So inside the constructor parameter, because it depends on data which getting from REST API. So private http colon http client module. Yes, now the entire thing was ready. Now you can perform the basic three activity, one for fetch user, add user, delete user and update user. So I will get a link. So I will open my browser and I will search. I will open Google. So I will search something fake API. So JSON placeholder. I will search JSON placeholder. I will search JSON placeholder free fake REST API. I will click on that. This is a website which will provide a free API. So I will scroll down and scroll down. It can offer several API. This is the API. I will use this users API. This is for 10 users. So I will click on that link. So this is for users API. So I will copy that link. Control C for copy. I will go to my code and then I will type the first method, which is called fetch users of, then open curly brace. It will return this dot http dot get the values from this API. Yes. Similar way for add user. User data colon any. Similar way you can pass return this dot http dot post method of the same URL, comma, you can pass user data. Similar way, the next one for delete user, you can pass id colon number. Similar way, return this dot http dot, this is a method called as delete for delete activity. You can paste the URL and then slash plus id, then semicolon. Then at the end you will create update user you can pass payload comma payload colon any comma id colon number. Inside that you will type return this dot http dot put activity for update action. So update single quotes, you can paste the API link slash plus id comma payload. So there is a spelling mistake in return. So this is for a service file. So the entire service file user utility.service was created now. Now the next step, you can create a state. This is a state management. NGXS is a completely state management. So you will create a new folder. Named as states for storing all those states. So inside that you will create a new file called as app.state.ts. So this is for complete state management. So app.state.ts. So inside that you will create the entire state management, NGXS state management activity. So this is for very important activity for state management. So now it's action for each and every action which call a state. So now we will create a complete state action. So in that state action you will create a class called as export class. So the name of the class for user module, so user state model. So for creating a model class for complete state action, so user state model. So inside that I will create an object called as users colon, it's a any, type was any. So now, so user state model was ready. Now you will create a decorator named as state. So state is a decorator which used to, whenever the action event invoked, it will verify the state activity. So state. So the decorator which will be named as state. Each and every decorator, in front of that you will use @ symbol. So state. Now automatically the decorator was imported inside the folder which is called as NGXS Store. So this state which depends on the user state model class. So the template was user state model. So open parenthesis, inside that open curly brace, you will press enter. So now you will give a name of the state. You will provide a name for the state. You will provide any name. So name colon something, the name for app state. This is a name for this state, app state, comma the default value, defaults colon open curly brace, inside that users colon SRI. So save the entire things. Yes, now the state model is ready. Now you will create a class for app state. So it's a injectable class. So at injectable, so A decorator was injectable. Inside that you will create a class, export class, the name of the class as app state. Inside that you will create a constructor. So the constructor, which is private variable, you will create any variable. I will create the variable called as UR for user. So colon, the UR is a user utility service, which is from user utility service. So I will create an object for the service file user utility. So I will open curly brace and close curly brace. Yes, fine. Now the constructor is ready. Now you will write a selector as well as action. So a selector as well as action. Selector for getting value from the REST API, action for add, update and delete. So action for add, update and delete, selector for getting value. First I will start from selector decorator. So at selector open parenthesis, close parenthesis. Then selector for getting value. So static select state data. You can write a method, your own method name. Select state data of state colon, the state is from user state model, user state model. So this is for select date. So the entire thing which will return whatever data fetched from the REST API, it can return. So return state dot users. So entire users data was written. Similar way, you can write a method for get users. So at action of the method called as get users, method named as get users. So I will write an action for the method get users. So I will write a method name get data from state, get data from state. I will write an object for context. So con colon state context, con colon, con is an object for state context. The state context which depends on user state model, user state model. It's a template. Now I will write that action method which will return, this is a get data, so which will return this dot constructor object named as UR. So this dot UR dot fetch, fetch is a method, fetch users of, fetch users is already written inside action folder. So fetch users of dot pipe fetch users of dot pipe tab activity inside that which will return data which tends to fetch users method which can return the data, whatever data which collected from the state. So constant state equal to con is a context object dot get state of, which can get the entire values. At last we will write con dot set state dot set state triple dot state comma users colon return data. So save the file. This is for first action, for getting values, for get users. This is for first one, for get users. The second one, similar copy for add, update as well as delete. So at action for add user, we will write the same thing, same copy was replicated. So add data to state. Inside that you will create an object for context con state context. So same copy paste, state context. So user state model, same thing. So same thing replicated for add. So similar way you can return same thing, return this dot ur dot add user of, you can pass the value as payload colon any here payload was not applied, so you can create the parameter payload too. So comma the parameter payload, this is the parameter which can pass the value, so payload which is from add user. Yes, correct. Now similar copy, pipe in bracket tab in bracket return data, copy paste, same copy paste, tends to open curly brace connections dot state con dot state equal to constant state equal to con dot get state of, then here connection dot patch state, so update the value from the patch. So connection dot patch state open parenthesis open curly brace, inside that you will type users colon triple dot state comma triple dot state dot users dot comma return data, same thing. Save the entire file. Now the first action for get users, the second action for add user. Now the entire action was complete. Now the third action for update user, now the next action for update user, so I will copy paste the same, I will copy paste the entire things, so I will don't waste the time, so I will copy paste for add user, so I will change add user, change it into update user. So this is for update user. Yes, I will change the method from name of the method as update data of state. Update data of state. CON context user state model. Then inside a curly brace I need three values. One is a payload, second one is ID, third one is I from add users. Yes, from update user. Now return this dot ur dot update user. So add which will be changed into update. Update user payload comma I. Yes, payload comma I. Return data, all those things are same. Then constant state equal to ctx dot get state of. Again you will create a user list. So constant user list which is equal to state dot users user list of I which is equal to payload. Then ctx that is constant dot set state of, this is not patch state here, which will be changed into set state. Set state. Inside that I will type dot dot state comma dot dot state comma users colon user list. Now a list was created. Yeah, now the complete update activity was copied from the same add activity. Now the same way at last you will write a delete activity. So I will copy paste the same add activity again. So change it into action delete user. Then you will change the method from delete data from state. Any method name. So connection state context user state model comma not a payload. This is only return ID. So delete user is ID is enough for deleting user. So this is from a class called as delete user. Yes, save the file. Now you will call this dot ur dot delete user. So the method which is called as delete user. The payload which is called as not a payload, this is ID. ID is enough. So similar way which will delete user. Return data. Connection needs CON equal to get state. So based on this get state as well as ID, you will get constant new array was created. There is a filtered array. You will create a new array, new user array, that is filtered array. So filter data which is equal to state dot users dot, you can apply the method filter of contents tends to contents dot ID which is not equal to ID. So content is of type any. Okay, fine. Now it will be created. Now at last we will create constant set state, not patch state, set state, set state CON context manager. So CON test state triple dot state comma users colon filtered array. Save the file. So the step number 1 for project was created. After that you will create a component and then service file, and then you will write the action file. Whenever action was invoked, which will get the data, then which will put it into a common bus, so the common store, so which will manage the data via a state management, so state.ts. So now this app.state component, which is added in app module, so this is combined with NGXS store. So NGXS module for root, inside that you will add this state, app state. This is very much important, app state. Now this app state was added. Okay, fine. Now the last one, your component creation. Already the user component was created. Inside that you will open user component.typescript file, user component.typescript file. Inside that a constructor and ng on init is in ready state. So inside our constructor I will add 2 parameter, one which will be called as private store colon store. So NGXS store. Yes, the first store object was created. Then second one for form builder, so private FB colon form builder. Yes, now entire thing was ready. Private spelling mistake. Yes, now ng on init, it's a void method. Inside that you will type, you will create a form. So you will create a form, so named as something user form colon form group. You will create a new form group named as user form. The type is any. Okay, semicolon. Then you will type a user info type any. Then that is a decorator for select at select of app state dot select state data. This is matched into user info dollar colon, it's observable object, Okay. Now in ng on init you will define this user form group. So this dot user form equal to this dot form builder object fp dot group the data first data is id colon empty comma the second data is name colon empty comma the third data is username colon empty comma the fourth data is email colon empty and the fifth data is phone colon empty. Then the sixth data is website colon empty. So the form group data was created. After that inside ng on init you can call the state. So this dot store the Ngx Store dot dispatch action, dispatch of the action was new get users. You can call that method. Inside that you will call the user info. So this dot user info dollar dot subscribe return data tends to this dot user info equal to return data. Yes, now the basic activity which get the data and listed in the table. Now you will write the operation for add. So I will write a method for add user. So add user you will call a method. So open parenthesis close parenthesis required. You can call this dot store dot dispatch you can call new add user. Inside that this dot user form dot the form group value. This dot user form dot reset. So whenever the value was passed, which will reset the entire value. So the form was clear. So add activity was completed. Now the same for update. So update user of id comma I constant new data which is equal to id colon whatever id whichever received name colon Kesavaraja, then username colon Keshav, email colon Keshav at test.com, phone colon something 0000000, comma website colon, a dummy data was updated, so kesav.cloud.in. So a dummy data was created. This data was updated into our data, our DB. So I will pass this data. Similar copy. So this dot store dot, same action, this dot store dot dispatch new data comma id comma I. This dot dispatch of new update user of yes, same copy paste. Now the last action, entire thing was completed. Now our last activity for delete. So delete of I, open curly brace, inside that this dot store dot dispatch of new delete user of I. Entire thing was completed. Now the entire work was completed. It's our last task for design our HTML file. So this is a error. So I think ID is a type any, otherwise ID is a type number, both are same, no issue. Number, I is type number. ID number. Now save the file. Till there is an error, I think delete I colon number. Yeah, now the file was changed into normal color. So fine, entire error was corrected. Wait for few more seconds. Save the file. Entire thing was ready. Now you can go to the HTML page. You can design the form. User component.html. You can delete the things. You can type the new form design. So this is the Bootstrap. So div class equal the class as container fluid now inside that you will type the heading, so something h2 style equal to h2 style equal to text hyphen decoration colon underline. So it's underline decoration semicolon, then you will open the h2 tag and close the h2 tag. Inside that you can type the title of your project, the project which is named as user management system, UMS. This is for our project. Save the file. Now inside that I will create another div tag. So div class equal to row my-4. Inside that div class equal to col for medium device. Inside that I will create a heading of h5 style colon color colon something. You will choose your interested color. I think I will choose something called the gray color colon gray. Okay, then semicolon. I will close the div tag. I will type the title for this form, so something for add user details, something, or user details is enough. Description, not add. User details is enough. Then now I will create a form. This form which return a data. So form which is for form group, this is mandatory. So form group, I have already given the form group name user form, so equal to user form. So same name. So name was properly, you will provide the name that was already added in the user component.ts file. Then whenever the form was submit, ng submit, it will call the method add user of. So whenever the form was submitted, which will call the method add user of ng submit. So now you will design a simple form. So the form which comprising of 5 fields. The first field which is called as label, so the name of the field as ID. Then below that type input type equal to text, input type equal to text, class equal to form control, input type equal to text, class equal to form control. For mp2, something place holder which is equal to user ID form control name equal to ID copy paste the same for all the 5 fields. Label name next for username next for email phone website. At last we will add a button. Type equal to submit, class equal to btn hyphen primary btn hyphen sm empty hyphen 2. At last we will create a table. So div class equal to col hyphen md hyphen 9 h5 style equal to colon gray user information then you will create a table class equal to table inside that table heading a heading row tr, so you will provide all those 5 values. So th for table heading, the scope of the variable, this is a column, so scope equal to column scope. So you will print the first one id, repeat the same for all the 5 columns. Second column, which is called as name, the third one, which is called as username, the fourth one, which is called as email, the fifth one, which is called as phone, the sixth one, which is named as website. At last you can bind the variable. So ng for equal let contents of user info semicolon index as I. Then td table data, you can bind the value, double curly brace for binding, inside that contents dot id, copy paste for all the 6 columns. Contents dot name, contents dot username, yes, the next one contents dot email, now contents dot phone, last one contents dot website. Entire value which will be displayed in a table. So at last we will add two buttons for update as well as delete activity. So table data, you will add a button, class equal to btn hyphen outline hyphen warning button. So button which will be displayed in orange color. So btn hyphen small medium device during button click, which will call the method update user of contents contents.id comma I contents.id comma the index value I. Inside that I will print a message called as update. Another td tag, another button, class equal to btn hyphen danger for red color button, danger btn hyphen small medium device during the click of that button, delete button, which will call the method called as delete user of contents.id. Inside that we will print a message called as delete. Yes, save the file. Now at most entire task was completed. Now you will go to your command prompt and you can execute the project called as NGS -O. You can execute your project. The project was fetching a user data from the fake API JSON player. So it's fetching a data and then which display in a table. Whenever you are adding a data, the data was added. Whenever you are update, the data was updated in a new value. If you are deleting data, the data was deleted. So which perform the complete CRUD activity: create, read, update and delete. So complete CRUD activity which performed by a simple application. So this application which uses Angular NGXS service, which is complete state management. So each and every variable which is stored in a global state, it's an immutable variable. So whenever a state was changed, it will create another state. So the complete state values, previous values as well as current value, which will be stored in a store. So the project was in a deploying stage. Please wait for a few more seconds. So NGXS locker as well as store plugin was installed. Now it's in bundled with a SPA, single page application, SPA application, and then which will be deployed. I think there is an error. You can verify the error. Inside user component there is a method called as delete user. Update user user info, cannot bind form group, is not a known property of form. Wait a second. Form group is not a known property of form. Inside app module.ts you can add another module called as reactive forms module. Then only form group was added. Reactive forms module. Now you can compile. It automatically compile. Please wait for a few more seconds. Otherwise stop. Press Ctrl C to stop, and then again NGS-O. So React's form module, React forms module, which will be added in app module.ts, then only form group which will be taken till the error. I think form group error was solved. Now the another error, something user info. Did you mean user info? I think U not caps, use small letter. There is a mistake. I will entering into my code and then I will modify. I think I will go to my HTML program and then I will modify ng for user info, that is U small letter. Now save the file and go to the prompt, again compiling. Now use update spelling mistake in line number I think 54. Update user, that is a spelling mistake. Pause. I think here there is no spelling mistake. Open user component.ts, here spelling mistake. Update, similar way delete only, so delete user, so you will add delete user. Now save the file and go to the code. Yes, compiled successfully. Now you go to the browser and refresh. Yes, now this file was in a standard file, our user component was not added, so again you can go to your app component.html file. You can delete entire thing. I think entire thing is not required. Your new component which is named as app hyphen user, so you can add the new component. Now save the file and then go to the command prompt, compile successfully, go to the browser. Yes, a file was added. User management system, this file was not properly displayed, but entire thing was added, but something, the decoration was collapsed. Yes, the 10 values was displayed properly, but this column was not arranged. I think this column was arranged in a proper way. Some decoration was a little problem. So you will verify your HTML code. Something column MD was not properly set. So this is for column MD3. Yes, correct. So after closing this column MD3, you will open side. This is was issue. Column MD9. This is not placed inside double quotes. Sorry. Now you can save and go to your browser, which will provide a fancy layout. Yes, fine. Now entire things works fine. Anyway, this label box, which is not placed in the next line, I think there is an issue. Each and every label box which not placed in a separate line. So I missed something. Wait a second. Something was missed. Each and every label and input box. Okay, something was correct. Anyway, if required, you will add a break. If required, you will add a break. Now save the file and go to the browser. Yes, it was aligned. Anyway, I think the alignment was not in a fancy layout. Okay, if needed, we will decorate in something styles. We will add the style and then we will decorate our project. Okay, no problem. Okay, now anyway, the project was ready, which will display user management system, user details and user information. Now I will add the detail, something called as 11. The name was Balamurugan. Then username Bala and mail ID bala@test.com. Then mobile number something 98000000. Then website something www.bala.in. Now you will click on that button, add user. The entire user detail was added in the 11th row. Now I will add another one user, something called as 12. The username as test and username also test, and email ID as test@123.com, phone number to 123, website as www.123.com. Then add user. The username 12 was added. Now I will click on that update button, always which I had already the new data was stored named as Kesav. That data was updated. Click on that button, update. I think there is an issue in update. We will verify. I can click on button delete. Yes, the files was deleted. Now I will click on that button update in 10. There is an issue in update. Okay, we will verify. So add details as well as display details, at last delete detail. So entire things works fine. So in update activity, during update call, update user service comma id comma payload, we will pass id and payload as a value for update. So now I am entering into my component.ts. So I will click that function. I will pass new data as a payload, id as well as I for update user method. New data, this is a new data, id, name, username, email, phone, website. So entire things works fine. So the new data was passed and id comma I was passed to store. So I am entering into my state variable. I will verify the update user method. So this is for update user, update data of state, context, payload, id comma I for update user. I will pass payload comma I. Okay, state get state of user list, set state of users colon user list, and I think works fine. Something I missed, anything I will verify. Yes, update user works fine. Something, there is an issue. Now update user works fine. So something, a breakpoint works. Yeah. Now this is a complete example of complete CRUD activity which performed via NGXS framework in Angular. Thank you.